So you are getting a flavor of the times of our King David. David was a warrior. All of these different tribes that we were described in the previous chapter, killing everybody down to man, was if it doesn't sound good in today's jargon. But here we have a time of hunger, a time of difficulty. 600 men, armed men. They are our major force. So exactly what he's doing, he's raiding the villages, towns, etc. of our enemies. Let's see what goes on. And it was in those days that the Philistines gathered their camps together for warfare, to make a war upon Israel. And Achish said to David, "You shall know that you shall go out with me in the camp, you and your men." So in other words, he's saying, you have this little army, and I gave you a place where you could do your business. And I'm sure that he paid tribute to Achish as well. And David said to Achish, "Therefore you shall know what your servant will do." And Achish said to David, "Therefore I shall make you my bodyguard all the time." Now Samuel had died. That's the prophet Shmuel who had anointed David as well. And all Israel lamented him and buried him in Ramah, and each one lamented him in his own city. Now Saul had abolished, let me see if I get this page right, had abolished necromancers, in other words, and those who divined with the Joah bone from the land. So these are different kinds of witches, and you see that the Torah actually says that this witchcraft that they do has power. So that you see that if you lived in the Miami area where I lived for many years, you see a lot of Santeria there. Just a little story is that my wife and I decided we're going to raise chickens in our backyard. And so we went, who sells chickens? So we went to this shop in Miami, and Cuban owned, and in it was all kinds of bones. They had some goats in the back and chickens. They sold chickens too. And many different types of wood that I can't really place, where it came from. These are all different items that are used in Santeria. Well, Santeria, which is witchcraft. And there is a power that these people want to use, is not a power of good, though. Going on. So he says that this was all outlawed by Saul. He had purified the land from this kind of thing. And the Philistines gathered and encamped in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel, and they encamped in Gilboa. And Saul saw the camp of the Philistines, and he feared, and his heart trembled greatly. And Saul inquired of the Lord did not answer, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. So he was greatly afraid. And Saul said to his servants, "Seek for me a necromanceress, and I shall go to her and inquire." Now this is a type of witchcraft. I forget which one it is, but I believe it has to do with bones. So, and I will inquire of her. So he asked actually for a witch. He didn't know what to do because there was such a vast army in front of him. And now we see that David was and his 600 were inside of it. And his servant said, "Behold, there is a necromanceress in Endor." And Saul disguised himself and donned other garments. And he went, he and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, "Divine now for me with necromancy, and conjure up for me whom I shall tell you." And the woman said to him, "Before you know what Saul has done, that he has abolished the necromancers and those who divine by the Judah bone from the land. And why do you lay a snare for my life to cause me to die?" And Saul swore to her by the Lord, saying, "And as the Lord lives, no punishment will happen to you for this thing." And the woman said, "Whom shall I conjure up for you?" And he said, "Conjure up Samuel for me." And the woman saw Samuel, and she cried aloud. And the woman said to Saul, saying, "Why have you deceived me? For you are Saul." And the king said to her, Fear not, for what have you seen? And the woman said to Saul, I have seen angels ascending from the earth. And he said to her, What is it? What is this form? What is that you see? And she said, An old man is coming up, and he is wrapped in a cloak. And Saul saw, and then he knew that he was Samuel. And he bowed down with his face to the ground and prostrated himself. And Samuel said to Saul, Why have you aroused me to bring me up? And Saul said, I am greatly distressed, and the Philistines are battling against me. And God has turned away from me, and has not answered me any more, neither through the prophets nor through dreams. And I have called you to let me know what I shall do. Samuel said, Why do you ask me, when the Lord has turned away from you and has become the supporter of your adversary? And the Lord has done to him as he spoke by me, and the Lord has torn the kingdom from your hand and has given it to your fellow, to David, because you did not listen to the Lord's voice, and you did not execute the fierceness of his wrath against Amalek. Therefore the Lord has done this thing to you this day. And the Lord will also deliver Israel with you into the land of the Philistines. And tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. Also, the Lord will deliver the camp of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. And Saul hastened and fell his full length to the ground, and he was very frightened because of Samuel's words. Furthermore, he had no strength, for he had not eaten bread all that day and all that night. And the woman came to Saul and said, and she saw that he was very much terror-stricken. And she said to him, Behold, your handmaid listened to your voice, and I have put my life in my hand and obeyed your words which you spoke to me. And now I pray you, you also listen to the voice of your handmaid, and let me place before you a morsel of bread and eat, and you will have strength when you go on the way. And refused, and he said, I shall not eat. And his servants and also the woman urged him, and he listened to their voice. And he rose from the ground and sat upon the couch. And the woman had a fatted calf in the house, and she hastened and slaughtered it. And she took flour and kneaded it, and baked it from it unleavened breads, matzah. And she set it before Saul and before the servants, and they ate. And they rose and went on that night away.